Hello and welcome to Hot Tea with Holly. I am having a hot cup of tea. I am Holly and so nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. So I am here live every Tuesday, 1 p.m. on the East Coast for this special segment. This is my opportunity to provide some really awesome free content and free information to you. Come on over to my blog, hollyperkins.com, and you can add your email address in so that you can receive notifications when I'm going live. This is a great opportunity for me to connect with you, say hello, answer any questions that you have, and have a cup of tea. So today I have been pretty much cracked out from a bulletproof coffee this morning. So I had a big workout with my master's group and I was running a little bit behind, and I was noticing that I was still quite caffeinated from my coffee this morning. So today we're trying something new. Today we've got an herbal. I'm super excited. Shout out to Erin for sending me Big Heart Teas. This is a cup of sunshine. This is not sponsored. Erin is one of the members of the Masters group, my private elite coach training group of women. And she knew that I needed to cut back on my caffeine. And so she sent this as a gift. Erin is also a friend of mine. So I'm having it for the first time, which I'm super excited about. You know me, I'm all about the caffeine. It's pretty rare that I actually drink herbal tea. So that is what we're having today. Shout out to Heidi if you are here, probably doing herbal as well. So this is a women-owned company, Big Heart Tea Company. I've never had it before. And Erin sent me this incredible gift box with a bunch of herbal teas in it. And I was really drawn to this one. It's called Cup of Sunshine. It's turmeric and ginger. And I think there are some other ingredients in it. Turmeric, ginger, reishi, black peppercorn. Organic peppercorn and cinnamon. I'm not so convinced on the peppercorn, but we'll see. I love that it's got reishi and tulsi in it. It's a great adaptogenic herb if you're having a cup of tea or a hot beverage or a cold beverage or sparkling water. I hope you will tell me all about it. Welcome. Today we are talking about the ultimate guide to protein powders and how to use them right. Now, for some of you, this might be common knowledge, but I received an email recently from a woman in my community, and she said, you know, there's so much information out there on protein powders. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to buy. And I would love to hear your take on what I should do. So today in this segment, I'm going to be going over some of my tried and true basics, some of my inside tips that I know absolutely work. After the segment, you will know why to use protein powders, when and how to use them, the brands and the kinds to consider. This is not a sponsored ad whatsoever. I'm not paid by any of the brands that I'm going to share with you today. These are my personal tried and true favorites. And I'm also going to help you know which one to choose for your blood type. That is right. I am a proponent of choosing certain foods according to your blood type. And I find protein powders are one of those foods that you can use very productively. Or if you're not using the right protein powder, it really can cause a lot of trouble. Now, I know that sounds a little alarmist, but it's true. So early on in my career, there was a lot of research, there still is, that points to whey protein powder as being superior or being a better protein powder for those of us that are in a very active lifestyle. So for years, I used protein powder and casein until I developed some pretty substantial health problems. And through blood testing, we realized that whey protein was probably the worst thing for me to be using. And so that's when I shifted over to egg white protein. And now eventually I personally am using exclusively beef protein powder. So I'm going to share all of that with you because you are going to learn which protein powder I now, as a coach, as an expert, in my humble opinion of now 30 years coaching women, there is one protein powder that I never recommend to my clients. And I'm going to share that one with you today. And I'm also just going to share some of my personal favorites and what I do personally. So I'm super excited to hop in. If you're here with me live, please say hello. And if you're watching in playback, so glad that you are here. If you're on YouTube, say hello below. And if you're on my blog, make sure that you subscribe for my weekly email updates so that we can get to know each other a little bit. Heidi is here and she's having licorice root tea. Another one of my favorites. I'll be having that later today. Holly Miles, so good to have you here. Andy, oh my gosh, how are you? Having a hot cup of homemade vegetable broth. Those of you guys that know me and are weekly visitors to my blog, stay tuned because very shortly I am going to be posting a blog post on my favorite bone broth recipe that you can make at home. It is incredible. I made up a batch over the weekend, and so I decided to write a blog on it. So I'll be sharing that soon with you. If you're having a beverage, tell me all about it. Welcome. Let's jump in. So, ooh, that's good. That's a good tea. It's got a lot of ginger in it. Oh my goodness, that's nice and spicy. So first up, let's talk about why to use protein powders. There are a lot of different applications for protein powders. First and foremost, it's not something that you have to be using. Personally, I find protein powders are a very direct way to increase your protein intake. So if you are someone who struggles to get enough protein powders are a great way to supplement your diet. I also find that protein powders and protein shakes in general are just delicious. So for me, whenever I'm wanting something along the lines of a milkshake or ice cream, a protein shake, if I doctor it up with some really delicious ingredients, really helps to kind of curb that sweet craving. Or if I want something that's chocolate or peanut butter or something that really just feels like an indulgent treat, I have found that protein shakes are a great way and a great remedy to quell that craving. Now, there are a lot of different protein powders. I'll be talking about those in a moment, but some of them are amazing. I'm going to share my favorite with you in a minute because it's absolutely delicious. And once you learn a basic foundational recipe, which I'm going to share with you in a minute, you can basically customize your protein shake to match your favorite flavor profile. Are you a chocolate peanut butter banana type of gal, or are you more of a strawberry banana vanilla? The truth is you can really customize what you like and what you enjoy. And it's such a delicious, amazing way to get more protein in, increase your nutrition in general through the ingredients that you're adding to it. And it can really serve that time when you feel like you just need a little bit of something, and they're absolutely delicious. I go through my phases where sometimes I'm using protein shakes on the regular, like now, and then I'll go through times where I don't use them often at all. It really depends on what's going on in my personal training program. Another reason why protein powders are so helpful is that they are so customizable for you to improve your nutrition. So if you know me well, you know that I am a fan of eating intentionally to balance out how much protein, fat, and carbohydrates you eat each day. From my perspective, the fastest way, the easiest way to get results and to really transform your body is to get strategic in how much protein you're eating each day. How much carbohydrates are you eating? Because, oh yes, you absolutely do need to be eating carbohydrates. And how much fat should you be eating? In my experience through working with my clients, I know that when a woman comes to me who's really struggling, who's working hard and not getting her body where she wants it to be, the solution often lies within nutrition. And one of the things I see happen most frequently is that a lot of you are getting too much fat in your diet, proportionate to the carbohydrate and the protein that you're eating. And there's a good reason for that. Fat is very high in calories per gram. There are 9 calories per gram of fat. So if you're eating 10 grams of fat, you're getting 90 calories. But if you eat 10 grams of protein or carbohydrate, you're only getting 40 calories. So fat is very dense and it's very easy to get too much of it in proportion to your carbohydrates and protein. So I'm a huge fan of getting intentional with how much protein, fat, and carbohydrates you're eating each day. One of the reasons why I think protein powders are so helpful is it allows you to get your macronutrients into balance throughout the day. A lot of days I need more protein. If I'm struggling to get protein, my protein powder is usually where I go. Sometimes I need to get my carbohydrates up around a workout. A protein shake with protein powder is a great way to boost your carbohydrates. And in a little bit, I'm going to share with you a very basic recipe and with some ideas on how you can customize your protein shake so that you are getting enough protein, fat, or carbohydrates. Another reason why I really love using protein powders is that they digest very quickly. So they are great around workouts. Most people can digest protein powders pretty easily, depending on the protein powder that you're using, depending on the brand that you're using. It really does depend, but most people are able to digest protein powders easier than, let's say, a filet mignon or a roasted chicken or ground turkey with onions and garlic in it, which are other sources of protein. Protein powders are isolated proteins, and so they're easier to digest. So if you're having any digestive issues, they're super helpful. Or in particular, I am a big fan of using them around workouts before and after, or to catch a downward freight train that's heading you towards Hungerville. So if you have one of those moments in the afternoon where you feel yourself tanking and your blood sugar is bottoming out or hunger is coming in, protein shakes and protein powders are a great way to get it in, hit your bloodstream to stabilize your blood sugar. They are excellent around your workout. These days, I prioritize my protein shakes and my protein powders around my workouts. Sometimes, depending on my day, I need some extra protein before the workout, like today. Some days, if my nutrition is great prior to my workout, I have my protein shake after, because it's a great way to get nutrition and protein in ASAP so that you got a little bit of buffer time before your next meal. And the last is, like I already said, is protein powders and protein shakes are great to really customize something a little naughty, something a little delicious, because it can feel like a treat. So I have a recipe for a protein shake that tastes just like a Wendy's Frosty, just like a Wendy's Frosty. You cannot tell the difference, except for the fact that my version tastes better. It tastes cleaner. It tastes healthier. It doesn't have any of those artificial like edges to it. So if you're lucky and you stick around, I will share that recipe with you. You might need to remind me, but I will share that specific recipe because it's got some very interesting ingredients in it. So stick around, because in a bit, I'm also going to give you some quick go-to ways for how to use your protein powder. The next thing we're going to cover is when to use the protein powders. So as I said, I have already alluded to sometimes that you can use a protein powder effectively. Now, there's one time that I don't want you using protein powders and or protein shakes, and that is when you're just too lazy to cook real food. Now, remember, protein shakes and protein powders are designed to be supplemental. I don't want you getting into a habit where it becomes your lunch every single day. It really should be thought of as supplemental when you need it. I don't think there's a problem with using them every day. You just don't want to be using them because you're too lazy to cook up some beautiful vegetables and some other really healthy, nutritious, real food. I am a big fan of always choosing real food first, especially if you are high performance and you're really leaning into your workouts. If you're in one side of my one of my programs like the Glutes Project or the Masters, or even if you're one of my next level members who's recycling your training program, if you're serious about your training in the gym, you've got to be getting a strong foundation of real food with real vitamins and minerals, real nutrition that's coming from Mother Earth herself. So that's the one time that I don't want you to rely on protein powders. But let's talk about the times when I do think you should use protein powders, or when you should consider them, and when they can really be a great addition to your otherwise healthy diet. So the first time that I think protein powders are super, super helpful is if you know that your protein is low and you're struggling to get your protein up. So this is a common thing for some of you. This may apply to you, this may not, but I do get a regular comment, DM, or email from women who are like, I struggle so much to get enough protein in. The carbs and the fat are easy, but I've got a limited diet. Or if you are vegetarian, vegan, lacto-ovo, pescatarian, you might find that it's a little harder getting enough protein in each day. And this is when I automatically start to look towards protein powders, because if you can't get enough real food in through your food sources of protein, this is a great way to make sure that you are getting enough, because the truth is you have to be getting at least a bare minimum of 15% of your daily calories coming from protein. And that protein can come from a variety of sources. It doesn't have to come from animal products. It can come from plants. But most of the research that I've seen, especially when we're looking at optimal health and well-being through the pathway of a balanced blood sugar, you've got to be getting at least 15% of your daily calories coming from protein. Now, if you're in my community and you are committed to strength training and building muscle and getting lean, you're going to need more protein, a minimum of 20% of your daily calories coming from protein. And if you're one of the women in my community who are interested in reducing body fat and building muscle, you need even more protein, upwards to 25 and 30% of your daily calories coming from protein. Protein is critical. And if you're struggling to get it through chicken or turkey or fish or tofu or beans or beef or lamb or bison, whatever it is that you eat, if you're struggling to get protein from food, you do got to make sure that you're getting a bare minimum to be optimally healthy. It really is important. So another time that it's helpful to consider or use protein powders is in the morning for a balanced, healthy meal. I hear all the time from women in my programs and in my groups that they really struggle with that first meal of the day. Let's talk about that for a moment. I got to give you a little feedback. I'm loving this tea. This is like some really amazing tea. It's a lot of fresh ginger, just enough turmeric. It's amazing. I'm really, really liking it. So for those of you guys that are interested in herbal teas, I love a lot of different herbal teas, but I love this one because it's so supportive and it's got a lot of adaptogenic herbs in it. I got to tell you, I'm really loving it. So something I hear on a regular basis from women in my community is that it's hard to hit that first meal of the day. So let's talk about this. I know that there are other experts and voices out there in the world who are proponents of the notion that you don't need to eat breakfast. We hear this a lot from a lot of the biohacking community, people who are proponents of intermittent fasting. You will often hear those experts tell you that you don't have to eat breakfast, that your first meal of the day is not the most important. But here's the deal. Listen up and grab your notebook. Every day, you have a first meal of the day, don't you? Maybe you don't call it breakfast. Maybe you call it lunch. Maybe you call it a 10 o'clock meal. But every day, you have a meal that's your first meal of the day. Do you not? So regardless of the timing, and I do have opinions on that, your first meal of the day is critical for setting your biochemistry for the rest of the day. Go do your own research. I don't have any live research on this right here, but when this video makes it over to my blog will include a link to relevant research to back up what I'm talking about here. I kind of don't even need to back up what I'm talking about here because it's basic human biology. In order to stabilize your blood sugar, which is the essence of everything in optimal health, you have to be including some protein and some carbohydrates. You cannot stabilize your blood sugar through food without a combination of protein and carbohydrates. Protein throws your blood sugar off and carbohydrates throw your blood sugar off because of glucagon and glucose. These two come together to stabilize your blood sugar. And so you have to have protein and carbs together to stabilize your blood sugar. And when you do that as your first meal of the day, you are setting your blood sugar for the rest of the day so that you will feel better. You'll have better hormone optimization, better workouts, less hunger, fewer cravings. You won't have that 3 o'clock slump. And oh, by the way, you will burn more fat all day long. On that note, let me give you a little announcement coming up very soon in January. I am going to be offering a brand new 3-day live video training on how to eat. I call it the Learn to Eat video training series. That is going to be coming up totally free in January. And that is specifically the time when I dive deep into teaching you some fundamentals of how to eat to stabilize your blood sugar, to feel better, reduce hunger, eliminate cravings, and burn fat 24/7. It happens through how you're eating. And protein is a critical component to stabilizing your blood sugar. If you want to make sure that you are on that list to get the notification when we go live for this free training series, come on over to my website, hollyperkins.com/waitlist. Now, it's going to put you on the wait list for my program called the Nutrition Project. Don't worry about that. That's just going to flag you in my system so that you tell me you're interested in getting the notification when I go live in January for the Learn to Eat 3-day live video training series. It's a brand new video training series. Even if you've joined me in the past for something similar, this one's brand new. So make sure you go over to my website, hollyperkins.com, add a /waitlist, and you can put your name and your email there, and you will get first notification when we go on that. You definitely don't want to miss it if you really want to fully understand how to use protein to get lean, to feel better, to burn fat all day long, and to just really perform at your peak. So another time when it's really helpful to use protein powders is before your workouts, because they're so easy to digest. You can customize the exact amount of protein and carbohydrates and the kind of carbohydrates that you know your body needs to perform your best. Let me give you an example. So if you've been in my community for a while, or if you're one of my clients, or you've been inside of one of my programs, you probably know a little bit better about how much protein and how much carbohydrate you need. or what kinds of protein and what kinds of carbohydrates work best for you. I'll use myself as an example because I think it's easy. I have very specific proteins that work best in my body. I have certain proteins like chicken that I avoid almost exclusively. And I have a highly restrictive diet when it comes to carbohydrates. If you don't know much about me, I have a very substantial autoimmune disorder, and I do have a previous diagnosis of Lyme disease and Hashimoto's disease. So because of that, my body is very sensitive to certain carbohydrates, and there are only certain carbohydrates I can eat there, and there are a lot that I can't eat. So when I'm getting ready for a workout, it's critical that I've got the right amount of carbohydrates coming from the right sources. And sometimes I just get sick of eating sweet potatoes. And I definitely get sick of eating bananas. I got to be honest with you. So what protein shakes do for me is that my dogs just ran right past my window, which just makes me so happy. They are out running free in the field behind you, and that just makes me smile. I wish I could show you. There's Mr. Buckleberry Pie right there. So happy. They don't even know that I'm here. Cracks me up. So there are also certain protein powders that work well for me and some that don't. So before a workout, it's absolutely critical that you're getting the proteins that work for you and the carbs that work for you in a way that's easy to digest. Let me tell you a story. So some of you who've been here with me before have probably heard this story. But when I was in my 20s, I lived in New York City. And this cracks me up because I came out of one of the best universities in the world with a degree in exercise physiology and nutrition. And I was working in New York City. At the time, I was training Howard Stern, Julia Roberts, Courtney Love, Natasha Richardson, Kelly Klein. I could go on. I could go on and on and on and on. Okay. I was training some of the most famous people in the entire world, and I still did not have my nutrition right. So at the time, I was a runner. I would run 8 miles in Central Park. Every single day, I was running anywhere from 4 to 10 miles in Central Park. I was a dedicated runner, and I was coaching a lot of runners. And I didn't have my nutrition down. And this was before we really started to talk about what foods to eat to set you up for a good workout. And I'll never forget, it was the middle of the day, it was around lunchtime, and I knew that I hadn't eaten. So I ate, it was like a chicken Caesar salad, or it was like a roasted vegetable chicken salad. It was a big, huge salad with grilled chicken, a bunch of raw vegetables, and probably a full fat salad dressing. Probably had a piece of bread with it. I went out for a run and I wanted to die. It was absolutely the worst thing to eat before a run. I couldn't run. I felt awful. I got extreme stomach pains. My legs felt like lead. I could barely walk, let alone run. I remember I got through maybe 2 miles and I had to limp home. Now, that's not because a chicken Caesar salad is bad. It's because that is all kinds of wrong before a workout. You need foods that are easy to digest, easy to assimilate, hit your stomach and get out of your stomach as fast as possible. And don't spend a lot of time in what we call the alimentary canal. It doesn't spend a lot of time from your mouth to your colon, basically. We wanted to get it through your tummy, through your small intestine, and into your large intestine as fast as possible. And that is when protein powders are brilliant. So before my workouts, I generally have, before or after, I have a protein shake that's low in fat. It's got a very easy to digest protein powder, which I'll share my favorite with you in a moment, the one that I use exclusively. And I use some very easy to digest carbohydrates. It's either sweet potato or banana. That's all that ever goes in my personal protein shake. I'll share my recipe with you in a few moments, but those are things that are so easy to digest. Now, I put some other things in it to make it taste tasty. I'll tell you about that in a few minutes, but that is basically the foundation to my protein powder because I can literally drink it immediately before a workout, during a workout, and have zero digestive problem. In fact, I end up having an awesome workout. I did it this morning. I drank my protein shake all through my workout. Heidi's here to even tell you I did. She was with me in my live workout this morning, and I was drinking my protein shake throughout the workout, and I had a fabulous workout. So the times when you want to use them is before and after your workouts. And then another time when they're very helpful is as an afternoon snack, when you're kind of wanting something quick, easy, delicious that gets into your body. It doesn't take a lot of time to make. You can even make it on the fly. If you're in an office type setting, you can make it in the morning and take it with you to the office if you're in an office. And it's a great way to really boost energy, ward off hunger and cravings that tend to kind of bite you in the butt later in the afternoon. Let me just pause for a moment and say hello to everybody. Give me a hello. If there's any questions thus far, let me know. Rona is here. So glad to have you here. Hollis is here. I eat one meal a day and one snack. The meal is usually healthy, but the snack is often atrocious. So what I would often, Hollis, consider building in a protein shake in that snack. You're going to be so much better. You're going to feel better. Your blood sugar is going to be balanced. You're going to burn fat better all day long. I mean this, guys. You want to burn fat easier and do nothing else? Get your blood sugar stabilized. And the way that you get your blood sugar stabilized is knowing how to balance your macronutrients, how to figure out how much protein and fat and carbohydrates, you should be eating. This is exactly what I'm going to be teaching you in the Learn to Eat live video training series in January. So make sure you sign up for it. But protein shakes are a great way to accomplish that so that you keep your blood sugar really, really stable. Aaron, you're here. Did you see? Did you see? Were you here when I showed you? I'm absolutely loving it. Oh. And those of you guys that are hopping in, this is not, I'm not paid. In fact, Aaron gave this to me as a gift. I don't know this company, and I'm so glad that I do. And I will happily plug them because they're amazing and it's a woman-owned company. So if you guys are interested in exploring new teas, I love this company, Big Heart Tea Company. Aaron, thank you so much for sending it. But yes, you remember those days in New York City, right? Heidi says, LOL. Yes, she did. She heard me slurping on my protein shake today. Hollis, does protein shake go with Twizzlers and Cheetos? It sure does. In fact, Hollis, it would be the perfect way to balance your Twizzlers and your Cheetos, my friend, because you're getting some sugar in your Twizzlers and you're getting some fat in those Cheetos. You need some protein, and it's actually going to balance it out a little bit better for real. Now, of course, I would prefer that she's not eating Twizzlers and Cheetos, of course. But if Hollis is going to eat Twizzlers and Cheetos, I would much rather give her some resources and tools to make it better. And by adding protein, Hollis, you're going to ward off throwing your blood sugar out of whack, because right now what you're eating is a shit ton of carbohydrates and a shit ton of fat. You need a shit ton of protein to balance it out. And that's going to help you to stabilize your blood sugar. You can still have your poor quality snacks. I'm going to go there. And you're going to be able to elevate your nutrition so easily just by adding a high quality protein shake to it. Oh, she says she was joking. Okay, good. I don't know. I don't know you that well, but just in case. Okay, guys, let's jump in. Aaron, I'm so glad you were here. Yes, I am doing this and I love it, love it, love it. For those of you guys that like ginger and turmeric, it's got a really fresh, strong amount of ginger and turmeric in it. And this is why, I don't know if my camera is going to be able to show it to you, but these are full leaf tea bags. Let me come over about right there. Full leaf tea bags. Now let's come over here. Let's do this thing that the YouTubers do. So you're actually getting like all of the real leaves and herbs and tincture in it. So it's a super, super high quality tea bag. And that's why the ginger and the turmeric are so amazing in this thing. Really, really amazing. Let's continue. So which protein powders to consider? And in a moment, we're going to go over what to look for in a brand, which ones work best for your blood type, how to use them. I'm going to give you a basic recipe, which one to avoid, and my personal opinions. We got a lot to cover. I'm going to continue. I did tell you that this would be the ultimate guide to protein powders and how to use them right. That's what we're going over. So let's jump into which ones to consider and which ones not to use and what to look for in various brands. I can even share with you, if I can pull it up quickly and easily, I think I can. I can even share with you some of my specific brands that are the ones that I go to for myself. Hold on, let me see if I can find it on my computer. I'll show you guys my exact brands. Product, where is it? I pulled it up yesterday. Product, hold on. I thought it was product. Maybe it's under brand. Product. Where is that? There it is. No, that's not it. I'll find it in a minute. Let's go recent. There they are. I found it. Okay, great. Let me open all of these for you guys, and I will show you exactly some brands that I use and love. And again, none of this is sponsored by any of the brands. These are the brands that I tend to recommend to the women in my community, my private coaching clients, and women in my programs. So basically the ones that you want to consider, there are some just really basic broad strokes. Number one, I am a huge fan of using an isolated protein, not a meal replacement shake. So you want to be clear on the options that you're choosing. I don't love a meal replacement shake, and this is why. A meal replacement shake is going to include the protein, but they're also going to include a bunch of other stuff in it. They're going to include some carbohydrates, some flavoring, some fat, some vitamins and minerals. They're going to put a lot of other ingredients into the shake to make it a meal replacement. I would prefer that you just use an isolated protein powder and then you customize your shake based on your nutritional needs. Most of those meal replacement shakes include sugar in one form or another. And I would rather you avoid it by putting in your own banana or putting in some pumpkin or putting in other fruit or even putting in spinach or other vegetables. I would rather you put your own carbohydrates in and not be beholden to what a brand is putting in a meal replacement. So number one, I always recommend a isolated protein powder. And when it comes to them, there's basically 4 broad strokes. There's actually 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's actually 5. Number one, vegan protein powders is one option. Number 2, whey or casein, which is a dairy product. Number 3, egg white protein powders, again, isolated. Number 4, beef protein powder, believe it or not. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then the last is any form of a collagen protein. So I think of collagen a little differently than the other 4, but it is a source of protein and you can use collagen or collagen peptides or even gelatin as your protein source. I do tend to like the previous 4 that I mentioned, but you can use collagen as well. So you basically don't want to just go to the grocery store and look at protein shakes. You want to go in with a specific goal of knowing which one's going to be best for you. And I'm going to cover that in a moment. What you want to look for in a brand, as I already said, number one, you want to look for an isolated protein. So you want to turn that package around and on the back, there should be very few ingredients. A handful of ingredients, very, very few. You want to make sure that it's not a meal replacement. And generally, the label will tell you if it's a meal replacement. But even if it doesn't tell you that, you can turn around, look at the label, the nutrition facts. If it's got carbohydrates and fat in it, it's more of a meal replacement shake because an isolated protein powder pretty much only has protein. It might have negligible carbohydrates, like 2 grams of carbohydrate. It almost never has any fat. Almost never. I don't know that I've ever seen an isolated protein powder that has fat in it at all. Okay. But you might get negligible carbohydrates. So if you're unsure and the label doesn't say meal replacement, look at the back and it should be pretty much all protein. And the calories per serving really should be at about 150 calories or less. If the calories are 350 or 400 calories, that's a meal replacement. I'm just not a fan of that. There's nothing overtly wrong with them. I just think you're going to get better nutrition by building your own protein shake. And that is what this ultimate guide to protein shakes is going to help you do. What you want to look for in the brand of protein powder you're choosing. You want to choose one that's as clean as possible, as high quality as possible. I'm a proponent of not choosing the cheapest option. Now, of course, if you're having and keeping an eye on your budget and you are limited in your budget, you might just have to get the cheapest option, and that is okay. But I am definitely a fan of finding the highest quality option that your budget can afford. This is an area where I will spend whatever I need to personally spend to get the best product. And I know not everyone can do that. I'm able to do it because it's the business that I'm in, and that's where I prioritize my spending in my life. But it is helpful to get the highest quality, cleanest product that you can get with the fewest ingredients. So again, you want to turn that product around, look at the ingredients list, and it really should be 5 or 6 ingredients or less, as few as possible. And some of them that I'm going to recommend today have as few as 3 ingredients. They've got the protein, they've got a little bit of stevia, and maybe they've got some vanilla extract. There's not much in it at all. So you always want to be looking for one that has the fewest ingredients. Something I feel pretty strongly about is to avoid artificial sweeteners. This can be acesulfame potassium. This can be aspartame. This can be Splenda or sucralose. It could be, I think that's pretty much all of them. Aspartame, acesulfame potassium, acesulfame K. There are also other forms of acesulfame products as well. And I'm personally not a huge fan of Splenda or sucralose. Sucralose is not sucrose, 2 very different compounds. So I'm a huge fan of avoiding artificial sweeteners as much as possible, especially in your protein shake. Now, stevia is not artificial. That's a naturally occurring form of sweetener. Monk fruit is the same. Erythritol is the same. These are not artificial sweeteners. These are non-nutritive, non-caloric sweeteners that are coming from Mother Earth. They're not engineered. They are grown by Mother Earth. And I don't have a problem with any of those naturally occurring non-nutritive sweeteners like stevia. Now, some of you might not like stevia. That's a different conversation. But from a health perspective, there's not any real overt problem with stevia. Choose organic if possible, as often as possible. And as I said, I really encourage you to choose what's called a straight protein, an isolated protein, not a meal replacement. Which ones work best for your blood type? I'm going to share with you my personal opinion based on a strong education and 30 years in the business. This is a very strong opinion, not a humble opinion, but you can do what you want with this information, whether you agree with me or not. I personally have seen miracles in my clients when I have helped them shift towards eating according to their blood type. I personally believe it is a powerful addition to your overall health programming. I'm not saying it's the end all be all. I'm not saying that you should only eat foods that are beneficial for your blood type. But there are some broad strokes rules that I think are super helpful for each blood type. This is something I dive in deep and talk more about with my private coaching clients and the women inside of the Nutrition Project. So that's two places we talk about this more at length. Today, I'm going to give you the Cliff's Notes version as it pertains to protein selection, because this is about which protein powders to choose. And if you've got a choice, why not take Holly's opinion and give it a whirl and see what happens? Why not? If you're open to choosing from any one of these 5 protein sources that I mentioned earlier, why wouldn't you try the one that I'm finding works best for the clients that I've worked with all these years, right? Not saying anything about the validity or the science behind eating according to your blood type, because I know someone's going to comment on that. I'm saying I have seen this work miracles. And after all of these years being in this industry and being an educated, credentialed expert in my field, I have also personally found this to be very strong evidence. Which protein powder aligns with your blood type? Blood type A's tend to do best on vegan protein powders. So any of the vegan protein powders. Let me see. I will actually, this is a great time in this part of the segment to share with you some of the brands that are the ones I tend to recommend to my clients and to the people in my community. Again, there's lots of incredible brands out there. These are just some of the brands that I use that I like. Again, I'm not sponsored. None of this is paid for. This is 100% based on my experience and the products that I use. Okay. So give me a second here to make sure I don't mess this up. Heidi, let me know if yep, you can see it. Okay. Beautiful. So, let me show you, oh, I don't have it up here. I don't have my vegan up here yet. So give me a moment. Let me stop my share. I don't want to stop screen. Okay. I'm back. Perfect. The technology is still a little foreign to me, you guys. So I have to get it right. Hold on. That is called Garden of Life. Let me find it on my computer. And of course, it's not coming up. So I might not be able to show you guys the vegan protein powder that I absolutely love. Hold on. I thought it was under products. I queued this up for us yesterday. And of course, now I'm having a really hard time finding the folder. Recommended products. I found it. Wonderful. There we go. Beautiful. Open that baby up. Okay. Bear with me. Share my screen. Share screen. Window. This one. Okay. So this is the vegan protein powder that I recommend most often. So again, you guys, there's lots of vegan protein powders out there. This is just the one that I tend to recommend most frequently. I really like it. I like the ingredients. It's organic. You can find it in a lot of places. I think it's delicious. I think it mixes up well in recipes. And it's just the one that I tend to like. Okay. And so part of what I wanted to share with you today was just some of the brands that I'm recommending right now. Okay. Again, if you're just popping in live, this is not paid content. This is 100% just what happens behind the scenes here. If you're an A blood type, I'm a big fan of vegan protein powder. That doesn't mean you can't use other protein powders. It's that vegan tends to work best. If you are an A, B blood type, I find that vegan or an egg white protein powder tends to work best. Let me show you an egg white protein powder that still tends to be the one that I recommend most frequently is, drumroll please, this crazy guy right here. Why he puts this photo of himself on the cover of a product, I'm not sure. He's kind of a legend in the industry because J. Robb was one of the first people that created this egg white protein powder, and it was delicious. It's clean, it's pure, there's not much in it, it's not organic, but I used this for years, and it still is one of the industry leading products in terms of egg white protein powder. Okay. Again, there's other protein powders. If you want to choose something else, totally cool. This is just the protein powder. When someone's like, if you're recommending an egg white, what do you recommend? That's the one that I generally recommend. So if you're an AB blood type, I recommend either a vegan powder or an egg white powder. If you're a B blood type, just like me, B stands for balance, and you can pretty much use any of the protein powders. Okay, now there is a sidebar side note in a moment, but B blood types are the easiest to be, pun intended. B blood types can do vegan, can do egg white, can do whey, can do beef, and can do collagen. Now, A's and ABs can also do collagen. I added that to my notes. Hold on, let me add that here. So I'll show you my collagen option in a minute, but I have found that AB, everybody can handle collagen, by the way. So if you're an A blood type, add collagen. If you're an AB, add collagen to the list that I already gave you. And if you're a B, you can pretty much use all of them. Okay. Now let me share with you the, some of the collagen option as well as a beef option. So you're going to notice in a moment that there is no whey protein powder on my list. And that's because whey protein powder is the one that I never, ever recommend. I'm not telling you not to use it. I'm telling you, I don't ever recommend it. That is the one protein powder I don't ever recommend. Okay. So you're not going to see it here. If you are a B blood type, all of these are great options for you. Here is a collagen that is very popular that I approve. Here is a more cost-effective, more economical option. This is an Amazon #1 bestseller. This is sports research. This is the one that I use. When I'm using just pure collagen, this is the one that I used in all of my recipes for the Nutrition Project. This is the one that I use right now if I'm throwing it into my coffee, or if I'm using collagen when I'm not drinking a bone broth. This is the one that I personally use. And Vital Proteins is another industry leader. This would be a slightly higher quality, slightly more expensive product. It's certainly very popular. I tend to believe that you can get better bang for your buck in one of these options, but I know this is super, super popular, and I definitely approve of it. If you are a B blood type, egg white works well. If you are a B blood type, I am actually a huge fan of beef protein powder. My #1 favorite beef protein powder is Paleo Thin by Julian Bakery. I've got 4 bags of it in my house right now. This is my go-to. This is the only one I ever use, except for collagen from time to time. It is delicious. It is clean. It is amazing. And no, it does not taste like beef. I know that a lot of people are like, that's disgusting. And I kind of had the same opinion. I was like, beef protein powder, the concept of it sounds disgusting. It's absolutely perfectly delicious. It is wonderful chocolate flavor. Now, this is currently out of stock depending on when you are watching this video. If you have trouble finding this product, this is my runner-up. Be Well by Kelly. I do not love her packaging because it's so hard to see. But this is Kelly Levesque's product, and it's called Be Well by Kelly. It is also a beef protein powder. And I find that very interesting because she and I are definitely on the same page in terms of nutritional direction. And so she created a product that is very high quality, completely grass-fed and finished beef. And that would be the other beef protein powder product that I would recommend. If you're a B, also collagen. Now, O's, UO blood types are a little tricky. UO blood types tend to do best on beef or egg white only. Definitely do not do whey protein or casein. You might be okay with vegan, depending on what vegan product you're using and what the ingredients are. If you're an O blood type, if you were my client and you were working with me privately and you were an O blood type, I would tell you to use beef protein powder. If you're a vegan, it's a whole other conversation. But you could use egg white. You certainly could do vegan. You could try it. And you could do collagen. And then my final little note here is all blood types seem to do just fine on collagen protein powder. Okay. So I've already shared the brands that are my go-to. Let me move on. How to use protein powders in terms of basic recipe. I'm going to give you first a basic foundational recipe that you can start with, and then you will customize it based on your needs, your application, if you're using it before a workout, after a workout, or your preferred flavor profile. Are you a strawberry banana girl? Or are you a peanut butter chocolate kind of girl, right? Or are you a spicy banana, cinnamon, and nutmeg, an apple type of gal, right? It really depends on your flavor profile that you prefer. So you'll achieve that by the ingredients that you add on top of the basic recipe. And here it goes. First, you have to start with a liquid. There has to be a liquid. I have a pretty narrow recommendation in terms of what that liquid should be. I personally feel it should be water or a milk variation. Now, it could be almond milk, it could be oat milk, and it could be dairy milk. If you know you are okay with skim milk or 2% milk, it could be dairy cow milk. But when it comes to the liquid you're starting your protein shake off with, it should be only one of those two, water or a milk substitute. It could be hemp milk, it could be flaxseed milk, it could be cashew milk, but a milk alternative or a dairy cow milk if you like that. I'm not a fan of using juice as your liquid. Number one, you need 8 ounces of a liquid. Number two, you've got to have ice. Number three, I think it's really smart to include fiber. I will tell you about that in a moment. And number four, you got to have your protein. There's your basic recipe: liquid, ice, fiber, protein. Now we're going to talk about how to embellish that basic recipe to customize it to your nutritional needs, to get the carbohydrates up, potentially to add more fat if you need to add more fat, and how to make it taste good. Because depending on your protein shake, it might or might not taste so good. Now, all of the products that I've recommended today, I have personally tried, and they all taste delicious with just mixed up with almond milk. So sometimes when I'm in a pinch and I'm in a hurry, I will just do almond milk and my beef protein powder, the Julian Bakery Paleo Thin beef protein powder and chocolate. On the regular, I'm shaking up almond milk and beef protein powder, and it's delicious. Okay. You could start there, but if you need more carbohydrates or you want more flavor, here's some things that you can add. I think it's really smart to include some fiber. Now, if you're putting in some fruits or some sweet potato or some of the other ingredients that I'm going to mention in a minute, you will get some fiber. But I'm also a fan of adding a strategic fiber, such as flaxseed, ground flaxseed, chia seeds, hemp hearts, or a dedicated fiber supplement. So you might be taking an off-the-shelf fiber supplement that could work well in your protein shake. Some do. Don't put psyllium in there. It's going to be disgusting. But some of the other fiber supplements can work well thrown into a protein shake. I do think it's good. My go-to is fresh organic flax. I put a tablespoon of fresh organic flax seeds into my blender. Do note that I have a high-powered, expensive blender. I use a Vitamix. So my Vitamix pulverizes the flax seeds. If you don't have a high-speed, high-quality, kind of industrial blender, you're going to want to use pre-ground flax seed or pre-ground chia seed. I'm a huge fan of flax. I just love it. I think it's a beautiful omega-3. It's got so much great healthy fats in it, and it's got incredible soluble fiber, which I think is great. I always personally use flax. It's also great for my blood type. More on that later. When it comes to protein, this is where you get to decide, do you want a vanilla profile or a chocolate profile? You start with your profile. What's your base? Is it vanilla or chocolate? And then you can add your flavors on top of that. Some things to consider: frozen fruit. Frozen banana is such a common one because it can go towards a strawberry banana type shake, and it could go to a peanut butter chocolate type shake. So frozen banana or fresh banana is a great low-hanging fruit, pun intended, to add to your protein shake because it gives it some nice body, some nice thickness. And it, if you like bananas, it can taste good. Sometimes I don't like bananas. So I will tell you that I tend to like less ripe bananas rather than overripe bananas. That's just a personal, but you might find that you like the flavor profile. Bananas are less banana-y when they're less ripe. They get more banana-y when they're more ripe, and they also contribute more carbohydrates, believe it or not, the riper they are. There are more carbohydrates in a ripe banana as compared to an underripe green banana. When it comes to your ingredients, it's a good idea to think about ones that you want to thicken. Or if you don't want it thick, you want to keep this in mind. Some ingredients that you can add are great for thickening: banana or frozen banana. Cooked sweet potato is amazing in a protein shake. I use it frequently with my chocolate protein powder. Cooked sweet potato is great for thickening. Pumpkin is great as a carbohydrate and to thicken if you like a pumpkin profile. And the last is you can actually throw some beans in there. You could throw in chickpeas, you can throw in black beans. Black beans with chocolate protein powder is delicious, and you'll barely even taste the beans. If you're someone who can digest and handle beans, those are some options that are really great to thicken and flavor and give you some carbohydrates in your protein shake. Some other things to consider: cacao nibs. I love raw cacao nibs. They will add flavor. They will add minerals, nutrition, and a lot of fiber. Raw cacao nibs are extremely high in fiber, and I love them for that. I'm a fan of peanut butter powder. Any kind or brand of powderized peanut butter. I absolutely love it. My go-to recipe these days is almond milk, a tablespoon of flaxseed, my Julian Bakery beef protein powder, sweet potato, and ground ginger with ice. Ground ginger, it's delicious. It's like a chocolate ginger protein shake, and you don't taste the sweet potato at all. Cooked sweet potato. One of my absolute favorite additions into a protein shake. That's what I drink on the regular. If it's not that, it's the same base, and I add a banana and PB2. So I will do chocolate protein powder, a whole banana, flax, almond milk, ice, and PB2. So it's a chocolate peanut butter banana flavor profile, and I absolutely love it. Some other things that you can throw in are nuts or nut butters. You do want to keep an eye on how much fat you're adding to your protein shake. But if you do need to incorporate some fats, nuts and nut butters are great. And so is olive oil. I am a huge fan of adding olive oil to a protein shake. You can't even taste it. And it just makes a great, delicious protein shake. If I'm not adding much fat or flaxseed for some reason, I will usually put olive oil in as my fat source. And last, don't forget about fun things like spices. You could throw in fresh peppermint. You could do chocolate peppermint. So you've got a mint chocolate chip type shake. Fresh spices. You could throw in some fresh ginger. You could do like a fresh banana ginger shake. You can also use dried spices. I'm a huge fan of dried ground ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg. Any of those spices in your pantry can actually create a really cool flavor profile. The options are endless. And any kind also of like frozen fruits, whether it's frozen bananas, I'm sorry, I already mentioned bananas, but blueberries or strawberries or raspberries or even frozen mango, frozen papaya, any fruit works really well in a protein shake, especially if you're using a vanilla protein powder. So last thing to wrap us up today, and then I'll take your questions. If you didn't hear me already, there is one protein powder that I don't ever recommend, and that is whey or a casein protein powder. Ones that come from dairy, I do not ever recommend them to my clients. I'm not telling you not to use them. I'm not bashing the dairy industry. I happen to love milk. I'm telling you, as a coach who has worked with people for 30 years, I have seen a common trend where whey protein powder tends to be problematic for women. I'm not negating the science on it. I'm not saying it's not a high quality protein powder. I'm saying that in my experience, it tends to cause digestive troubles for women. And so therefore, I don't ever recommend whey protein powder or any form of a milk isolate, a milk concentrate, or a casein protein powder. My personal opinions, I personally feel they're best before and after workouts, protein shakes in general. My personal favorite is the beef product that I shared with you. Hands down, of all the protein powders I have ever used, and I'll share it with you guys again quickly here. I'll show it to you. Hands down, my favorite across the board of every protein product I have ever chosen, ever tried. Hands down, this is my personal favorite for a number of reasons, a lot of reasons. I'm not going to continue on and on and on with what all those reasons are. That's my personal favorite. The last thing to keep in mind is that if you're someone who tends to have unstable blood sugar, you want to keep an eye on when and how you're using a protein shake as a meal. So when we turn food into a liquid, it has a greater surface area when it goes into your body. For those of us that tend to have unstable blood sugar, a great surface area food tends to destabilize your blood sugar, okay? Tends to be destabilizing to blood glucose levels. And that is research that's out there. So if you tend to have unstable blood sugar, you might not want to do a protein shake first meal of the day. And you also, if you tend to have unstable blood sugar, you might want to use lower glycemic index carbohydrates like the beans or like sweet potato. Another thing that I didn't mention in terms of things you can add to your protein shake are oats. You can actually add oats, raw or cooked oats in as a carbohydrate source if you eat grains. So oats or sweet potato or pumpkin are going to be lower glycemic index carbohydrates to put into your shake if you tend to be a little blood sugar unstable from protein shakes. You also want to make sure you're getting fiber. So the reason why I always add a fiber to my protein shakes is it helps to slow down that insulin response and the glucose response from the greater surface area of a protein shake. It may or may not apply to you. I find it's maybe 10% of my clients, 20% of my clients, and it's generally people who tend to have a history of reactive hypoglycemia or just unstable blood sugar in general. And oh, by the way, it tends to be B blood types. That's what I see most often. B blood types tend to struggle with unstable blood sugar more than any of the other blood types that I have personally worked with and in my personal experience. I'm Holly Perkins, and those are my thoughts on the ultimate guide to protein powders and how to use them right. I hope you loved this. If you do, please give me a comment below if you're here with me live or you're watching on YouTube. And if you're catching this on my blog, send me an email to say hello, holly@hollyperkins.com. And don't forget, in January 2022, I am going to be offering a totally free, brand new Learn to Eat 3-day live video training that dives into some of these topics even more so. I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to eat your favorite and familiar foods in new ways and in new combinations so that you can feel better, reduce hunger, eliminate cravings, and burn fat 24/7. If you want to be the first to get notification for this free live video training series, come on over to my website, hollyperkins.com/waitlist. Put your email in and I will notify you as soon as we are ready for that. Okay, any other questions and comments? Let me jump in and just kind of read through some of the things that have been added here. So Aaron, what about PB2? Peanut butter protein powder. Hoping that falls into vegan type A. It definitely does, and I love it. Whether it's the brand PB2 or any of the other newer competitor brands, I happen to love peanut butter powder. It's a defatted peanut. So it's peanut butter with no fat. It adds some protein, it adds some fiber, and I do think it's great for all blood types, especially good for A's. Hollis, question. I've heard that collagen is also a good supplement for osteoporosis. Will collagen protein powders help with this? You know, I'm not convinced there's direct research that says collagen is good for bone density. I highly doubt that. But what I will say is protein in general is important for optimal health. You know, protein is the building blocks of our body, and protein is so important to build a variety of structures and enzymes in your body. So what I would say is protein in general is helpful for keeping bone density. I'm not certain if collagen in particular is good for bone density. I would encourage you to go to the Google Scholar machine and look it up and see if there's any specific research on this topic. It's possible. I don't personally know. I'd be a little bit skeptical. I would just say protein in general is great for bone density. Heidi, I love paleo thin beef protein powder. That's the only protein powder that works for me. The others give me digestive problems. I am an O blood type. Heidi, thank you for that. And yeah, absolutely. Like for you O's, beef protein powder is a great option. Facebook user, anonymous Facebook user, avocado for fat. Absolutely. That is a wonderful, great fat that you can add to your shake to bump up your fat. Aaron, but don't you consider PB2 as a protein powder? Wait, but you don't consider PB2 as a protein powder? No, I don't. Just an additive. Exactly. I've been starting out by putting PB2 into oatmeal with banana. Fabulous, but it's not a protein powder. It is going to bump up your protein for sure, and it's going to taste great, but it's not going to give you a real hefty dose of protein. Aaron, I would encourage you to throw some collagen in with the oatmeal and with the PB2, or get your protein separate to the bowl of oatmeal, but that's definitely a great addition. Heidi, never knew about cacao being high in fiber. Love cacao nibs. I never usually eat them. I will have to get some. So on that note, if you guys really look at raw cacao nibs, they're almost 100% fiber. They are a lot of fiber. Almost all of the calories in cacao nibs, well, all the carbohydrate calories are fiber. There are no carbohydrate calories. There are fat calories and there are some protein calories, but cacao nibs are very high in fiber, which is one reason really, really love that. Holly Miles, been very confused in regards to my shakes. This was so helpful. Thank you, Holly. You are so welcome. I'm so glad you were here for it. Erin, I'm a blood type A and was thinking of Garden of Life. Erin, absolutely. Definitely, definitely. I love the Garden of Life. Raw fit vanilla. I think it's great. Erin, you could also try egg white protein powder if you want. But I do find my A blood types thrive and do best on vegan protein powders. That is it for today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you found this helpful. I've been wanting to do this segment for a long, long time, and I'm so glad that I just finally put the information together and shared it with you guys today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you in January 2022 for the Learn to Eat 3-day video training series. It's going to be incredible, and you absolutely want to be there. Come on over to hollyperkins.com/waitlist. Just add your name to the waitlist there, and you'll get first notification when that free training series comes up. Otherwise, I will see you next Tuesday, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, on my Holly Perkins Fitness page on Facebook, or you can catch it in replay over on my blog. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.